Hello and welcome back. As you all know, in the last class, we were doing the types of contracts, that is the classification of the contract, and we completed the first type of the contract, that is validity. So today we will be moving on to the next part, that is formation. Under formation, you have three parts, that is express contract, implied contract, quasi contract. Okay, and also we will be covering the third type, that is performation. Under performation, you have executed contract, executory contract, unilateral contract, and bilateral contract. So now let's have a look at what the formation is all about. Okay, now talking about on the basis of formation. Okay, now under on the basis of formation, you will have various things that you will take into consideration. Now, where a contract is good, okay, when you're talking about formation is okay, when you're talking about on the basis of formation, you have express contract. What is express contract? Express contract is a contract which is made by words. Okay, it is a contract which is made by words. Now these words are either spoken or written. As I told you all, when you enter into a particular contract, you should always either write down the contract. Okay, you should always make a document of the contract. It should be in a written form, because people have the tendency to forget information. Okay, so it should always be written. So express contract is a contract which is made by words, either spoken or written, is said to be an express contract. You are expressing, so that is why it is said to be an express contract according to section 9. Okay, according to section 9, insofar as the proposal or acceptance of any promise. Okay, if you're making any, if you're accepting any, if you're accepting of if you're accepting any proposal of any promise is made in words, the promise is said to be express. What is express? Insofar as the proposal. Okay, if there is a proposal or acceptance, if you're accepting a proposal of any promise which is made in words, when you're accepting any promise which is made in words, that promise is said to be express. Now what is express? Any proposal or acceptance of a promise which is made in words, the promise is said to be express. Okay, now what is an example of this? Example, suppose there are two parties. A tells B on telephone that he offers to sell his house for 2 lakhs, and B in reply informs A that he accepts the offer. This is an express contract. For you, for example, you and your friend, now you are telling your friend that I am ready to sell my house for 2 lakhs. Now your friend is telling, yes, I am ready to buy it. So this, and he is accepting the offer. So this is an express contract. You are expressing, you are expressing your opinion, and he's also accepting. So this is express contract. Okay, next one is implied contract. What is implied contract? Implied contract means implied by law. Okay, this is a particular contract which is implied by law. That is, the law implies a contract that though parties never intended. Okay, now basically, even if the parties are not intending, suppose a buyer and seller, by default, according to their according to the rules and regulations, they will have to be intended. They will be intended to a particular contract. They will be a part of a particular contract according to section 9, insofar as such proposal or acceptance is made otherwise than in words, the promise is said to be implied. If a particular proposal, like here we said, if you are expressing and accepting, it is an express contract, and also it is known as a this thing, right, express contract. Okay, so here, if you are but here what it is saying is completely different. Here it is express, here it is implied. If you, whatever you are expressing, if that particular thing is being implied, suppose if you, whatever you express, okay, for example, let's see, A delivers by mistake goods to B warehouse instead of C. Now there are three parties in an agreement. Okay, now A, B and C. A delivers wrong goods to now A delivers by mistake goods to B warehouse. Okay, now A is delivering goods to B's warehouse, wherein A had to deliver goods to C. Okay, here there is an obligation on part of B to return the goods to A, though they never intended to enter into a contract. See, there are three parties, A, B and C. A and B are not in contract. Okay, but by mistake, instead of A delivering the goods to C, he is delivering the goods to B. Now what is B's responsibility? B does not have a contract with A, right? And also B knows that he has got the wrong delivery of goods. Now it is B's responsibility to return back the good to A, because they were never in a contract. Okay, this is very simple. It is implied. They are implied by law. Okay, though the parties never intended to be a be in a contract. Now next one is your tacit contract. Okay, now what is tacit? Tacit is it is said to be tacit when it is inferred from the conduct of the parties. Example, obtaining cash through automatic teller machine, sale by fall of hammer, and auction sale. Tacit contract is a contract wherein you are intended or infer you are it is a basically it is a contract which you are entering by the parties. Or for example, you are obtaining any sorts of payment or anything you're obtaining through automatic teller machine or sale of hammer at an auction sale. Okay, whatever it is, you are it is a tacit contract. Okay, now you have a quasi contract. Next is very important, it is a quasi contract. Now what is a quasi contract? Quasi contract is not an actual contract. Very important, quasi is very important. It is not an actual contract, but it resembles to a contract. It is not a contract, but it resembles to a contract. It is created by law under certain circumstances. The law creates and enforces legal rights and obligations when no real contracts exist. Okay, for example, we saw, right, A and B and C. A delivers wrong goods to B instead of C. So what is happening? According to the rules and regulations, B has to return back the goods to A. So similarly in quasi contract also you can take the same example, wherein it is not a actual contract, but it is similar to a contract. It is resembling a contract. Okay, it is a contract which is created under certain circumstances. Now what happened in situation of A, B and C? It was a situation, right? Now there was no contract, but still due to the circumstances a contract was created. So due to the certain circumstances, the law will enforce the legal rights and obligations when no real contract exists. Such obligation is known as quasi contract. For example, obligation of finder of lost goods to return them to the true owner, or liability of a person to whom money is paid under mistake to repay it back cannot be said or arise out of contract, even if to it in the remotest state, as there is neither offer and acceptance nor consent. There is it. For example, now you have you have a particular classmate, okay, and this particular classmate has lost money. Now you tend to find that money in your campus. Now what is your responsibility as a human being? You have to return back that amount to the particular person who is the true owner. Your friend is the true owner of money, you need to return it back to the true owner. Okay, this is quasi contract. It is not an actual contract, but it is contract created under certain circumstances. Okay, now moving on to the third part. Okay, now we are completed with the second one. Now moving on to the third main classification, it is on the basis of the performance of the contract. Now what is on the basis of the performance of the contract? I hope the image is very clear to you all, the textbook image. Okay, under this you have first one is executed contract. Now what is executed? Something you are entering into contract and something you are executing. This is what comes into your mind when you talk about executed, right? So what is executed contract? It's the consideration for the promise in the contract, that is any act or forbearance is given or executed. Such type of contract is called contract with executed consideration. Okay, it is called as executed consideration. What is executed contract? Executed contract is basically, see, you will enter into a particular agreement wherein there will be parties in an agreement. It could be it could be two parties, it could be three parties, or multiple amount of people in the thing, and you are promising someone that you will pay certain amount or you will do anything. Now that particular thing is being executed. So the particular whatever promise was there, suppose you are delivering goods. Okay, suppose A and B are there. A promises to deliver goods to B, so A is delivering the goods to B. So that is the contract which is executed. So that is known as executed contract. Okay, for which you are getting certain amount of consideration. What did I tell you all? What is consideration? Consideration is the sum of money. Okay, for example, when a grocer sells sugar, you all know who a grocer is, sells sugar on cash payment. It is executed contract because both the parties have done what they are to do under a particular contract. See, again, buyer and seller. You as a buyer will go to a shop and you will buy sugar. The seller will give you sugar. Both are entering into contract and both have completed their duties. So this is called as executed contract. Okay, and you are also paying the person for buying sugar. Next one is executory contract. What is executory contract? Executory contract is also called as the is also called called because the reciprocal promises or obligation which serves as consideration is to be performed as in future. Now what is executed? Executed is on spot. You're doing it on spot. You're buying sugar, you're paying for the sugar. Okay, contract is executed. What is executory? Executory is, suppose for example, if there are two parties, that is A and B. Okay, now A has a mango farm, okay, and B wants to buy the mangoes from A. Okay, so A will tell the mangoes are not yet the mango season is not yet there, so you come back to me during the mango season, but they will beforehand enter into contract. Okay, so what A will do, as soon as the mangoes are grown, as soon as the mangoes are ripe, he will deliver the mangoes to B some date in future, not immediately. So this is known as the contract which is yet to be executed, to be performed in future. Okay, for example, where G agrees to take tuition to H at a pre-engineering student for the from the next month, and H in consideration promises to pay C 1,000 per month. The contract is executed because it is yet to be carried out. So for example, G and H, okay, G and H is G is agreeing to take tuition for H, but he took the advance amount earlier. Okay, but the tuition is starting from next month, so it is a contract which is yet to be executed, but the payment consideration is already given. Okay, next is unilateral contract. Now what is unilateral contract? A unilateral contract is one-sided contract in which one party has to perform his promise on obligation or to do forbear. Okay, there is only one party in the contract, and this one party only has to perform all the duties in a particular contract. Example, M advertises of payment of a reward of 500 to anyone who finds his missing boy and brings him. As soon as B traces the boy, there comes into existence an executed contract because B has performed his share of obligation, and it remains for M to pay the amount of reward to B. This type of executed contract is known as unilateral contract. For example, if you are there and you've lost an Apple phone, okay, but you give an advertisement saying that if so and so person if any person finds out my finds my Apple phone, I will give you 500 rupees, and someone tends to find your phone, okay, and they come and give it to you. So you have to fulfill your promise. You had promised you will give 500 if someone finds your phone, right? So now you are fulfilling your promise, and this kind of contract is known as unilateral contract. This contract was only from your side. You only brought this particular contract into existence, saying if someone finds my phone, I will pay you 500 rupees. Okay, this is only single. Now what is next one is bilateral contract. Now what is bilateral contract? Bilateral contract is where the obligation, bi means two, uni means one, bi means two parties. Okay, bilateral is where where the obligation or promise in a contract is outstanding on the part of both the parties is known as bilateral contract. So here it is both the parties have to take equal responsibility of performing the obligation. This is known as bilateral contract. For example, you can have a look at the example where A promises to sell his plot to B for 1 lakh cash down, but B only pays 25,000 as earnest money and promises to pay the balance on next Sunday. On the other hand, A gives the possession of plot to B and promises to execute a sale deed on the of the whole amount. The contract between the A and B is executory because there remains something to be done on both sides. That is, executory contract is also known as bilateral contract. I think you all know this. If you want to purchase a house, you cannot immediately pay the entire amount. You will give something known as the advance money, and you will say you prepare the entire amount contract. I will pay you the rest amount later, right? So this is how it works. This is known as bilateral contract. Now next one is formal contracts. What is formal contracts? The English law. Okay, which law? The English law classifies the contract or formal contract into two. That is formal contract and simple contract. Okay, formal contract and simple contract. Now what is a formal contract? A formal contract is further classified into contract of record or contract under seal. What is contract of record? Contract of record is nothing but a contract of record is either a judgment of court or recognizance. A judgment is an obligation imposed by a court upon one or more persons in favor of another or others. Okay, as a matter of fact, it is not a contract in the real sense. Since it is not based upon any agreement between two parties, a recognizance is written acknowledged of a debt due to the state. It is usually met with either in connection of criminal proceeding. Contracts of record derive their binding force from the authority of the court. Now, what is this contract of record? Contract of record is nothing but it is a judgment. Okay, it is basically it is a judgment of court. Now, when is this particular contract coming into existence? It is only in circumstances like if again if there is any criminal proceedings against the person, if the particular person has done any crime, or if or in case of acknowledgement of debt. Okay, if you've taken debt and you haven't repaid back, or only in situations of these, this particular contract of record will come into existence. Okay. Next one is contract under seal. What is contract under seal? Is basically a contract under seal is nothing but it is derived from the binding force from a loan. Okay, in it is in writing and it is signed, sealed. See, as I told you all, when you enter into a particular contract, the contract should be written. After writing that particular contract, it should be sealed, signed and stamped immediately by all the parties. You should take signature of all the parties. You should according to the rules and regulations, you should get it stamped and sealed. Okay, this is known as contract under seal. In the contract in writing and is signed, sealed and delivered by parties is called as deed or specialty contract. What is contract under seal? As soon as two or three parties enter into a particular contract, as we have the tendency to forget, everything needs to be written down. It should be a written document. After writing down the contract, it should be signed by all parties. After it is signed, you should seal the document. Okay, you should put a stamp saying that this particular parties have agreed to the terms and condition. This is known as a deed or a specialty contract. So taking into consideration we've completed the following topics as per your syllabus. That is Indian Contract Act 1872, that is definition of contract, essentials of valid contract, classification of contract. Moving on to your next topic, we have breach of contract. Okay, now what is breach of contract? Now let's look into what is breach of contract. Okay, breach means what? Breach, suppose there are two or three parties in a contract. If one particular person does not perform, okay, there are three parties. Okay, if one particular person also does not perform his duties, or if he is not very responsible in a particular contract, that is known as breach of contract. Okay, this is the basic meaning. Now, breach means failure. Failure of what? If a failure of a party to perform his or her obligation under a contract. Okay, you are either of the person is failing to perform his or her duties under the obligation to perform a particular contract. Now, breach may arise in two ways. Okay, breach can arise in two ways, that is anticipatory breach of contract or actual breach of contract. Now, what did I tell you all? We all know, okay, from the starting we've been studying what a contract is, who are the parties to the contract, and what will happen if the elements are not satisfied. All of that we've already discussed before. Now we'll be discussing what exactly happens when you tend to not you do not tend to fulfill all your duties in a particular contract. What happens when the contract is a breach? Okay, how does breach actually arise in anticipatory breach of contract and actual breach of contract? So, anticipatory breach of contract. What happens in anticipatory breach of contract and actual breach of contract? In under anticipatory breach of contract, here it is very important concept under the law of contractual relationship. What is contract? Under the contract relationship, anticipatory breach is very important. It is an important concept. Okay, here what happens is there will be promisor and promisee, right? When the promisor refuses altogether to perform his promise and signifies unwillingness even before the time of performance has arrived, is called as anticipatory breach. Okay, for example, okay, let me make this very simple to you all. Suppose you and your friend, okay, now suppose you have an assignment in class and you have two people in an assignment. Suppose you want to pair up with your friend. You and your friend agree to do a particular assignment. Okay, and you form a group. Now, even before the time of assignment or presentation has come, your friend says, no, I am not willing to do this particular topic. No, I'm not well, I will not be coming. Then this particular person is a breach. This particular person is acting as a failure to a particular contract. Your friend is not able to perform his or her duties in order to fulfill the requirements of the contract. Your friend is actually breaking the promise. You both entered in a promise, right, that you will perform all your duties and obligation, but your friend is failing to perform all the duties. So this is a breach. So when the promiser, this is the promiser, your friend is promising you that he will that your friend that he will complete the he will perform his duties and responsibilities. So when the promiser is refusing altogether to perform his promise, and signifies unwillingness. Your friend says, no bro, I'm no no whatever no I mean no bro, I'm not in a position to he will basically he will tell that no, I cannot be coming, I have some plans, or maybe I'm not prepared for that particular topic. So he is showing unwillingness. Your friend is showing unwillingness, and also he is refusing to perform his promise. So if the promiser refuses altogether to perform his promise and signifies unwillingness even before the time of performance has arrived, is called as anticipatory breach. Okay, before the actual performance has to be done, if your friend is doing this, saying, no, you are my best friend, I will not be doing, I hope you understand, and all of this is anticipatory breach. Okay, he is backing off, your friend is backing off even before the time of the contract has arrived. Okay. For example, X agrees to sell Y a certain quantity, say wheat of rupees 100 per quantity, to be delivered on 3rd March. On 2nd February, X gives notice expressing his unwillingness to sell wheat, and the price of wheat on the date is 110 per quintal. If Y repudiates the contract forthwith, which he is entitled to do so at his opinion or at his option, he would be able to recover damages rupees 10 per quintal, being the difference between market price on 2nd February. So basically what is happening here is there are two parties, X and Y. X is refusing to make the delivery, sell the wheat sell the wheat to Y, but he's taking into consideration the market price. So the price at which they have entered into contract and the price at which is at the price prevailing in the particular market are two different things. So that is the reason why now it is to be known whether Y will be able to take back his loss, whether he'll be able to compensate his loss. Okay, so this is anticipatory breach. So now I will also give you all another example. A contracts to marry B before the agreed date. Okay, A contracts to marry B before the agreed date. He marries C. Okay, in this case, A has committed anticipatory breach of contract. See, there are three parties in an agreement. There were two parties in an agreement, A and B. Now A is promising B that I will marry you, but instead of marrying B, A marries C. Okay, so he is so A has committed anticipatory breach. He has not fulfilled his duty towards B. He broke his promise and showed his unwillingness to perform the contract. So this is anticipatory breach of contract. Now let's move on to what is actual breach of contract. That is the next type of contract under breach. Okay, so what is actual breach of contract is, in contrast to anticipatory breach, it is the case of refusal to perform the promise on scheduled date. The parties to lawful contract are bound to perform their respective promises. But when one of the parties break the contract by refusing to perform his promise, he is said to have committed breach. Okay, yes, we all know that when there are parties in a particular contract, if one person refuses or show unwillingness, that is known as breach of the contract, right, at a scheduled period of time. Okay, in that case, the other party to the contract obtains the right of action against the one who refused to perform his promise. Now, what happened in anticipatory? Anticipatory is basically they are refusing and showing unwillingness before the time of the performance of the contract has arrived. But here in actual breach, now the performance cut. Now suppose you have to go for presentation. At this moment, if your friend is backing out of presentation, that is known as actual breach. Okay, that is on the scheduled date, on the promise, or if you're breaking the promise on the scheduled time, on the scheduled date, that is known as actual breach of contract. Now actual breach of contract may be committed at the, now when there can be two situations when it can be committed: at the time of the performance when the contract is due, or during the performance of the contract. Actual breach of contract also occurs when during the performance of a contract one party fails to refuse his obligation under express or implied act. Okay, it can either happen before the contract is due, or it can happen during the time when the contract is going on. See, at the time of performing the contract, now suppose the contract performance has been starting, if the person is backing out at that particular time, or if the contract performance is started but in the middle, if they are telling no, I am showing my unwillingness, I do not want to do this task, that time during the performance of the contract. It can happen in two situations. That is, actual breach of contract happens in two situations. That is during when the contract is to be performed, or during the performance of the particular contract. Okay, this is something that you need to know under your breach of contract. So now let's move on to the last topic of your first chapter, that is remedies to breach of contract. Now once the breach of contract has been done, you need to have certain remedies to overcome the loss also, right? So we will be looking into what are the remedies in case if one particular party breaches the contract. Okay, if there is a breach of contract, what will be the remedy that will be applicable? Okay, now we will look into what are the remedies to breach of contract. Now under your remedies to breach of contract, it is these are the following remedies to breach of contract. First one is your, okay, I hope you all can see now. So these are the remedies to breach of contract. The first one is rescission of contract. Now what is a rescission of contract? When a contract is broken, okay, now suppose one particular party breaks a particular contract. When a contract is broken by one party, the other party may treat the contract as rescinded. Okay, now suppose there are two parties in a contract. If one party in the contract breaks the particular contract, the other party who is there in the contract, suppose A and B are there in a contract, if A and B are there in the contract, if A breaks the contract, then B will rescind the contract, may treat the contract as rescinded. Okay, will treat the contract as rescinded. In such case, he is absolved of all his obligations under the contract and is entitled for compensation for any damages that he might have suffered. Okay, suppose now there are two parties in an agreement, A and B. A breaks the promise and A shows unwillingness to perform the particular contract. Now why should B suffer all the damages, right? So what the government has done is, government has set the rules and regulations in such a way that even if A breaks the promise, B will be liable. B can treat the contract as rescinded. He can claim his damages in case whatever the loss he's been suffering because of A breaking the contract, B will be able to recover all the losses. Okay, whatever the loss is there, whatever he has suffered, he will be able to recover the particular loss. Okay, now for example, beautiful example, A promises to deliver 50 bags of cement on a certain day and agrees to pay the amount of receipt of the goods. Okay, A failed to deliver the cement on the appointed day. B is discharged from his liability to pay the price. Okay, so A promises to deliver, but because of certain reasons A is not able to deliver, so B, he is discharging his liability. He is able to claim his damage. Okay, he is able to claim his losses, whatever was his loss because of A, he is able to claim his damages. Now next one is suit upon quantum merit. Okay, you can sue the person because of breaking the particular contract. Okay, now what does suit upon quantum merit mean? Okay, just a minute, girls. I will just adjust this. Okay. Now, what is suit upon quantum merit? The phrase quantum merit literally means as is earned. Okay, as is earned or according to the quantity of work done. When person has begun to work and before he could complete it, the other party terminates the contract or does something which makes it impossible for the other party to complete the contract, he can claim the work done under the contract. Suppose there are two parties in a contract, that is A and B. Both of them will agree to perform their duties. A will almost be performing the duties and he will be almost done, almost in a position to be completed with his particular duties and fulfilling his promises. But B will back out of the particular contract. So A is suffering the loss, right? So what can A do in such a situation? He can claim for the amount of work he has done. He can claim for the amount of work he has done in a particular contract. He may also recover the value of work done with the future performance of contract becomes impossible. Suppose A has invested rupees 50,000 in order to complete the particular contract, right? So A has the possibility to recover this 50,000, whatever he's invested in the particular contract, whatever work he's done, he can recover that particular thing. The claim quantum merit must be bought by a party who is not at default. However, in certain cases, party in default may also sue the work done if contract is divisible. Following are the cases in which claim or quantum merit may arise. See, suit upon quantum merit is basically if you and your friend. Okay, if there are two parties in a particular agreement, if your friend is not being if you and your friend, suppose you have completed all your duties and your friend hasn't, if they are backing out of a particular contract, you can claim all your damages. Okay, you can claim whatever amount you've invested, all of that amount can be gained. Now these are two cases in which the quantum merit may arise. When an agreement is discovered to be void. Now what is a void agreement? It is something when you have when basically when in if you've concentrated in essentials of valid contract, there are 8 essentials, right? If one of the essentials are not there in a particular contract, then it is said to be void. Okay, where work has been done and accepted under contract which subsequently discovered to be void. In such a case, the person who performed the part of the contract is entitled to recover the amount. Similarly, as I told you all, whatever the amount of work the particular person has done, if he's invested rupees 50,000 in order to get the work done, he can recover the rupees 50,000. Okay, next situation is where something is done or delivered without intention to gratuitously. So for example, if as we saw in the previous example, there are two parties in a contract, A and B. Now A has to deliver goods to B, but A by mistake delivers the goods to C. So C has to return back the goods, right? So in case if B is suffering any loss because of A's wrong delivery, he can receive the payment. Okay, he can recover the loss. Now next one is where the contract is divisible. Contract is divisible is basically work done may be recorded on the basis of quantum merit. Where the contract is divisible by a party performs the part of contract and refuse to perform the remaining part. In such a case, the part is default may sue the other party who has enjoyed the benefits on the part of the performance. Suppose there are two parties in an agreement and these particular parties have divided the work and they have told that we'll only be performing this particular this. Suppose there are two parties. If this particular person says I will be only performing this much of work, I will not be doing the rest of the work, and they have enjoyed all the benefits, so in that case also you can sue that particular person and you can recover your losses. So now moving on to the suit for specific performance. Okay, under okay, now what are these are the remedies. So first remedy, what was the first remedy? First one is recession of contract, second one is suit upon quantum merit, third one is suit for specific performance. Okay, suit for specific performance is basically wherein you are for whatever breach has been done, for whatever performance the breach has been done. In case if you're not able to fulfill your promise, if you're not able to complete your work, then you will be able to sue the other party for not doing the particular work. Okay, where the damages are not adequate remedy. In case of breach of contract, the court may in its discretion on a suit for specific performance direct party in breach to carry out all his promise according to the terms of the contract. Okay, basically if there are terms in a particular contract, if one party does not perform their terms, the court will sue the particular party for not performing the rules and regulations, for not abiding by the rules and regulations and not performing as per the terms of the contract. Last one is suit for injunction. This is also one of the remedies of breach of contract. Suit for injunction is where a party of a contract is negativing the terms of a contract. The contract may be issuing an injunction order. Okay, by issuing an injunction order, restrain him from doing what he's promised to not to do. Now, for example, to make it very simple for you all, there are two parties, okay, and one party is saying no, I will not do it. So the other party can issue an injunction order and restrain him from doing what he has promised not to do. Okay, basically you should not interfere in the other party's work, and also you should not do any extra work. Whatever is being told, you should do only that. If you're doing something extra, or if you're leaking out the information or anything as such, then the other party in the contract can issue an injunction order. Okay, for example, N is a film star, agreed to act excessively for a particular producer for 1 year, but the year she contracted to act for some other producer, he held to be contracted. See, when you enter into contract by one person, what was the contract? N was there was one actress who signed a contract with the producer saying, I will only work for you for 1 year, but she breached the contract. She worked for another producer also in the same year. So this particular producer with whom she entered into contract first has the right to issue an injunction order, has the right to restrain her by an injunction order. So, with the remedies of breach of contract, we complete with your first chapter. Okay, thank you, girls. We will be all your doubts will be cleared in the next class.